All right, so every few episodes now, we're gonna start doing interviews and interviewing coaches and players, and I'm happy to introduce our first guest, Coach Cleary.
Hey everybody, thank you to Benny, Jaden, and the entire club for having me. Very excited to be the first guest, I believe that is the case, right? That is an
Yes.
honor, and really excited to see where this club goes from here.
Yeah, of course.
We're gonna get started off with the first question. What inspired you to become a coach?
It's a wonderful question, and it's, I think, a good one to start with. There's a lot of different answers that I think I could pull from. One of the biggest inspirations for me personally, though, was my high school football coach, Tony DiMatteo. We, as some of you may know, dedicated the high school field to him this past offseason. He, in terms of being an influence in my life, is without question, I feel, the largest, especially specific to individuals I worked with here as a student and as an athlete. From there as well, the gentleman that I'm fortunate enough to still coach with, right? Coach Packard was my modified football coach. He was also my JV football coach, and then again on the varsity level, Coach Mike and Coach Anthony DiMatteo were both, again, themselves really major influences within my life, and seeing what they were able to provide to me, really I do feel inspired myself to give that back in any capacity and any way I was able to. From there also, do special shout out I would have to give is to Coach Castellano. He's currently coaching in Westlake, New York. His son was my college roommate, and I was able to be a part of some of his big games their first season at Westlake. And so while my own experiences here at Somers were a huge role, that also had a really big part in it in that specific instance. And the Westlake Wildcats are also themselves undefeated on the season as we are, so it's a little special shout out for them, Mark Castellano and Coach John Castellano.
All right, so the next question is, how did you work up to where you are now as a coach?
So currently I'm the assistant coach for our varsity program. My first year was 2016. I started coaching the junior varsity and the freshmen. I had the fortune of doing that with Bob Antonucci and Steve Jackson. Coach Antonucci himself is another individual who has been involved in Somers football for, when you total it all up, about 35 years. So being able to work with him in that first instance, I think was a really beneficial experience for myself. After that, in 2017, I started here as one of the varsity assistants. There was a brief intermission in that. I did teach and coach at Horace Greeley High School for a single year in 2018. It's another special shout out I do have to give to Coach Joe Kearns down there at Horace Greeley. He stepped down last year, but again, in terms of being an influence in my life, he did a really nice job showing me how to do it in a different area, right? Somers was all that I knew, and that experience in that year there, something I'm very thankful for. Following that season, 2019, I came back here to the high school program, and I've been coaching here ever since, and really glad and lucky for that.
What role did you play as a coach?
So personally myself, I am the linebackers coach on defense. That is my position group. That is something that I take a lot of enjoyment and pride within. On the offensive side of the ball, I help the wide receivers, specifically with their individual offensive skills, drills, getting them a little bit better to perform to high levels on Friday nights. But that is how I would best describe it. I'm the linebackers coach on defense, and I help with the wide receivers on offense.
And the next question, how do you prepare your team for a game?
Again, that's a group effort, as I think you can all understand. We all have different roles in how we prepare, but the first answer, I think, it starts with film study. Is the key to, I think, any sport and any great coach. They will tell you is you will understand how it is you need to game plan based off, again, the teams you're seeing, what their tendencies might be, what type of players they may have, and what their capabilities then might be. And then from there, it comes down to leaning into your routines, right? Trusting what you've established in the course of the preseason into the regular season, and really maximizing those opportunities. That's where I give our athletes a tremendous amount of credit, because they come day in and day out, work to consciously get better, and that's something that I really do take a lot of enjoyment and pride within. Specifically the pregame routine, though, I do something, it might be a little bit different, but I work the linebackers through a visualization routine and a technique that I do feel helps put them into the appropriate headspace, and it also allows them, with the nature of visualization, to put themselves in the position they'll hopefully be in throughout the game, right? So as we're going through that, that's something that I've really enjoyed working with them, and I've gotten feedback that it also does help. There's also nothing better than being in halftime and then saying this is exactly what we've already spoken to. They've already seen themselves in those moments, and then again, another 24 minutes of doing what we need to do.
So what about coaching do you enjoy the most?
back to the first one, there's so much in terms of an answer on that narrowing it down is difficult. But my favorite part about coaching, and it's not exclusive to football, any of the coaches, any of the sports that I've coached in the past, whether it be girls basketball, even again, there was a time I was a girls lacrosse coach. I've done modified baseball my year in Greeley. It's seeing a group of individuals come together then for a common goal, right? You can have all sorts about your personality and what maybe drives you as a person, but putting that group then of people together, and as I've stated, working through and towards those common goals is one of the coolest experiences I feel I'm able to be a part of. Within that too, it's the journey that each season is, right? Every team is its own team. Every team is going to have different qualities and different things about not only the players but the group itself that really does make that such a wonderful experience, and just getting to see how each team is really going to start and finish their own journeys is something that I really do take a lot of pride in being a part of.
Last thing, what is your most proudest moment as a coach?
And I know I've said this now a few times, it's difficult to narrow down without question, but I think I would be a little remiss if I did not speak to the state championships that we've been able and fortunate enough to be a part of through a lot of the hard work and dedication of our student athletes. Even still, I think both of you as sports buffs and fanatics, you'd imagine that the game that we lost was it was a difficult moment, but in terms of those athletes' resilience and the way that they responded throughout that entire game, and then just for me as a coach to be a part of not only as the entire journey leading up to it, as I said, but they went toe-to-toe with a team that was tremendously capable in every facet of the game, as I felt we were, and we didn't get the breaks and the ball bounces that we may have needed to surpass, but there was never a moment where I doubted their competitiveness or their drive to really try. And following that, then the next 2 years with being, again, fortunate enough to win back-to-back state championships, seeing the resilience of the juniors who rose into that senior leadership role and really knew what the expectation was, because again we were bringing a lot of individuals back. That was something that was humbling in every aspect to, again, as I said, see them set out for a goal and accomplish it, and then again being fortunate enough to do it the following year was something that I can never speak highly enough about. Also, just back to my first answer a little bit, Coach DiMatteo stepped away in the COVID season of 2020. So for me, it was something that after the fact, I realized that an individual who coached for, I believe, 50 plus years, was part of a countless number of wins. He's currently the number 2 all-time New York State leader in wins as a head coach. So for myself to be a part of what then was his last final high school game, it was also, due to the shortened season, something that we look at as the section championship game. We were able to beat a very talented John Jay team, who ironically enough we are also playing this week. Being a part of that and being a part of his last staff is something that I truly am proud of, and it meant a lot to me, really and truly.
Wow.
All right. Well, thank you for coming today.
Absolutely.
And,
thank you guys. This was awesome.
Thank you.
Again, hopefully you'll see me back here again, maybe towards the end of the season. We can recap and see how the journey went. But I appreciate your guys' time, and I want you all to know, really, in terms of what makes me proud is seeing what you guys are doing with this opportunity and seeing what you guys are doing with this club. It's really great stuff, and I think it gives a really nice avenue, not only for the athletes, but for sports fans as yourself. So thank you guys. Seriously.
Thank you.
Absolutely.